But today I wanted to talk a little bit about food being equaling happiness. And the reason that I want to talk about it is because it's something that comes up over and over and over. There's a guy at our gym, and I've told you about him before. He says that his one joy in life is eating steak.
Yeah.
It's his one joy in life.
Right.
Now, obviously, that's kind of sad. It's disappointing that that's his one joy in life. And yesterday, I put up a post that said that humans are dieting themselves into obesity. And there was a lot of conversation, and thank you to all of you who engaged with that post and talked to us. It was a good post. A lot of people had a lot to say, but one person said, "I'd rather be happy than healthy." That's a big huff for you.
Because they only say that because they're currently unhealthy and they don't understand not only the energy you have, but just the general sense of happiness and well-being that you have when you know you're healthy. You're not worried about, especially if you have a family, you're not worried about things like having a heart attack, a stroke, type 2 diabetes, or all the other illnesses like cancer, all the other things that come up because we eat a poor diet. It's a standard American diet. So I believe they say that, and I don't mean this as an insult as much as out of frustration. I think they said it out of ignorance.
Well, and I think, too, what people don't realize... Good morning, Deborah. It's
morning,
good to see you. What people don't understand is when they say that, to me as a psychologist, it screams, I'm addicted to food.
Yeah.
Because they're using it as an excuse to eat what they always eat and not have to learn. That was another thing someone said. The thing that keeps her from changing her diet is she doesn't want to have to learn to cook different things and make different choices.
Which is where we can help. I mean, that's what we do.
Well, I can't help with the I don't wanna. Like, if they don't wanna, I can't help with that.
Well,
people have to have some motivation to learn.
I agree. But that's where your psychology comes in. You can have the conversation with them and say, well, what does I don't want to really mean? What is
Right.
I need help. I mean, if she says she needs help, then that's also...
That means I wanna.
Yes.
But the other thing that was on that post, somebody said, I'd rather die young and eat what I want to eat. And that to me is one of the most selfish things that you can say. Back a while ago, I posted a story with permission from someone who shared it in a group that I'm in, where her sister used to say that all the time. I'd rather die young and eat what I want. And she died of a heart attack the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, she got a wish.
And for her, it doesn't matter. Like, she's dead, so it doesn't matter to her.
Right. But
her family is just devastated. So how selfish is it to use that excuse?
You want to put me on my soapbox, because I mean, my father is a perfect example of that. He died at 59. He had lung cancer. He was a smoker. And his whole life, he was a smoker. He liked to, didn't qualify things as an alcoholic, but he did like his drink. Loved cheese, loved a lot of meat products. And his whole life, I've heard as a child growing up till the day he died, is that I have to live my life, not till the day he died.
6 months before.
Right. I got to live my life the way I want. I have to be happy. And then the last 6 months of his life, all he can tell me was, he used the term...
He used the word moderation,
right.
which you know how I feel about that word.
Basically, what he was basically saying is, I screwed up. I should have not done that.
Yeah.
That is only true when you're living and you don't... I mean, as humans, we don't perceive death as something that's going to happen to us. We know, I guess, from the educational point of view, it's going to happen. But as we live life, we don't see it as something that's going to happen to us because we're alive.
Oh, you didn't turn your phone
I did
off.
not.
You forgot to turn his ringer off. The other thing, I guess, that's a challenge is that food does bring that short-term pleasure because the food industry has done a really good job of creating food that hits our dopamine centers. And the dopamine centers are the part of our brain that says, yes, that's good, keep doing it. And the processed food that we eat, and we're going to talk later in the week about how they've gotten some laws passed where they can hide high fructose corn syrup. We're going to teach you how to find it where they're hiding it now. But that hits your dopamine centers, and so it makes it really easy to seek that short-term pleasure to say, this makes me happy right now. And so I think what happens, and I say this based on having talked to people who have had these challenges of saying, I have to be happy, I have to eat what I want, I don't want to. And there's diet industry out there who say, eat the foods you like, just eat it in moderation. And I won't name names, but that moderation is trying to teach 2.5 million years of evolution to eat less, and it doesn't work.
And you go to these like Facebook groups for these types of diets, and you listen to these people in there, and they're miserable. They're constantly complaining.
And
they're constantly
yo-yo.
failing. I was going to say they're constantly failing, And then when you try to give them actual advice, they attack. When you actually try to say, this is really what you should be doing,
Right.
and not necessarily doing what they're saying because. And you give them the science, you give them the actual, and then you get attacked. But they're not happy. All these groups I look, because we join those groups because we're interested in knowing what's going on out there.
And helping the people who are interested in health.
Right.
And the thing I think that frustrates me more than anything is that can anyone really look at Russ and I and say, oh, you aren't happy, you're miserable because you don't get to eat what you want? I mean, can people... You guys see us every day. Do you really think that we're living these deprived lives, that we're not getting to eat food that we enjoy? I can tell you absolutely and unequivocally that's not true. We are happy. We love the food we eat. We enjoy it. I mean, oatmeal is yummy stuff.
Oh, it's great. And I often sit there when we eat our second meal of the day. I'm always going like, boy, this is yummy. And what are we eating? We're eating vegetables. We're eating salads. We're eating, yams.
Chili,
no
tuna salad.
No tuna salad, which, yes. I know how that sounds. But, and I mean, your taste buds get awakened. It's like an awakening. It really is. Your taste buds that have been dormant for all these years because you're feeding it the standard American diet, wake up, and all of a sudden you realize how good food is. And then you realize, and I mean, Julia Child said it back in the 1930s. Food is supposed to taste like food. It's not supposed to taste like the spices and the seasoning and the oils and everything else you put on it. That's my Italian. I can't help it. And all the other stuff that we put on it to make it taste good.
Exactly.
I mean, eat a steak, eat a piece of chicken, eat whatever without seasoning it. Tell me how much you like it.
And unfortunately, we have been taught as children that food is a reward. And so many of us, we use food when we're happy. We have celebrations, so there's food. We use food when we're unhappy. Something bad happens at work and you come home and, somebody was telling me yesterday that during the end of the year, his work was really stressful and he came home every day and drank 3 beers. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that
makes you an alcoholic.
That's not a positive thing.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yes.
Or, when you see something on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen it because I've seen it, where people say something bad happened and the response immediately is ice cream and wine. Like everybody's response is add food, add calories, add junk.
Yes, as a cure-all.
As a cure-all. And we're taught that as children. How many of us as children were given food as rewards?
Right. I mean, and look at holidays too, right? I mean, why is Thanksgiving, put together with a turkey? I mean, that's not the original Thanksgiving. I mean, they might have had turkey. I saw an article the other day that said basically it was just another piece of food that they had in a whole assortment of foods that they had for
Mostly
that day,
plants.
which was mostly plants.
Yeah.
So
Not cooked in butter.
the food industry has done a great job of tying food products to holidays, to occasions. Why is a birthday cake part of a birthday?
It's a thing.
It's
We
a
just
thing.
do it.
It's something that
Yeah.
if you go back, I'm sure you'll find that the cake industry or the bakery industry.
Somebody somewhere created
Yeah.
that marketing.
Right, and it's great marketing. Listen, that's what I do. I'm a marketer, and I understand it. It's great marketing.
Yep, absolutely. So the question, I guess, that I'm encouraging you to ask yourself, and it's a question that I ask my clients when I work with them, is when you think about food, does it equate to happiness? Do you associate food with happiness? And we talked yesterday about how nutrient density helps with that end of day craving for junk food, because your body says, hey, I have all the nutrients I have. Nutrients also help with happiness. There's a lot of studies that are starting to come out that are showing if you're eating plant-based and if you're getting all the nutrients your body needs, you feel better, your body chemistry is better, your brain chemistry is better. And so while people associate unhealthy food with happiness because they get the short-term pleasure of the dopamine rush, the truth is healthy food is actually associated with better long-term happiness overall. And so I would encourage you to start asking yourself that question is, hi, thank you for sharing, Deborah. I appreciate
Yes,
that
Deborah,
greatly.
thank you.
I would encourage you to start asking yourself that question, because if you are associating food with happiness, and you have to be able to kind of determine what emotion you have around food, which for some people is hard to do on their own. I can help you do that if you want to, do a consultation. I can absolutely help you kind of figure out what emotions are you associating with food. But if you're associating positive emotions with food that are above and beyond just, wow, that's nutritious, I enjoyed it, I feel good when I eat it, where you have a craving, you're struggling with a food addiction. And we talked last week about how if you are overweight, you likely have a food addiction because the human body is not designed to eat more than it needs. So you're not designed to be overweight. So
What it needs nutritionally.
nutritionally, yes.
Right. So you'll eat more if you're not getting the nutrition.
You'll eat more calories if your body's being tricked by the food industry, which, trust me, if you're eating processed food, it's being tricked by the food industry. And you'll eat more if your calories don't have the nutrients that your body needs, because your body is going to crave those nutrients. And unfortunately, our body craves nutrients, and what do? We feed it junk.
Right. Now, yes, I was just going to jump on that, and then you said it.
Go ahead.
That's the point, is that if you sit there and say, well, I crave this, or I'm hungry, and if you're overweight, you're not hungry because you need, I'm sorry.
You don't need energy.
You're hungry because you need nutrients. You're not hungry because you haven't eaten.
Hey,
Good morning,
Allison.
Allison.
It's good to see you, Mary. It's
Mary,
good to see you too,
hey.
from Florida.
Nice.
That's a new one. Nice to have people here from Florida.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining.
But yeah, absolutely. Start looking at your emotional relationship with food, and then see if you can start getting more nutrients in. We talked about it yesterday. If you can eat more whole foods, your body's going to get better nutrients. It's going to help with your cravings. It's going to help with the short-term pleasure trap issues. It's going to help with the feelings that only steak brings me joy, which I just even can't with that comment.
I was going to say, because I was one of these guys. We ate, what you would say, probably closer to a Mediterranean diet, but we were eating, the animal products and whatnot. And, I was in the gym and I was tired and I felt groggy. I'd come home.
And we were fluffy.
I felt like we needed a nap all the time. Never had the energy. And now, for the past almost 2 years now, I'm just like...
People comment all the time about how much energy he has in the gym, and it's not even fair.
Right, exactly. And I look at the people that have been there the whole time I've been there all this time, and I look at them, they're still eating the Center American diet, and they look like the weight of the world is on their shoulders, like they're dragging and they're trying to get to the next exercise, and you talk to them and they sound like the world is just beating them up. We
don't have those issues.
You can hear the energy in our voices. We don't have those issues. Yes.
Yeah. So the challenge is you have to change the way your mind works, and part of that is just start adding healthier food, and that's going to help change your mindset around food. And I've talked before about food addiction and about how you have to recognize it before that you can fix it, which I know sounds like cliche, but sorry, that's the reality. That's how the brain works. So if you need help with that, please do book a session with me. I'm more than happy to have those conversations with you to see if I can help you sort that out. What does Allison say?
The comfort food is appealing. It absolutely
appealing.
is.
That's why. But you know what? Comfort food without animal products on it is good too.
Yes, and what I was going to say is comfort food, and what I believe you mean, which is the advertised food we see on TV, it's comforting because it's tricking your body to hit all the pleasure points, right? All the triggers in your body that says this is something I want. But what it's not doing is not giving you nutrients.
Right.
And so what happens is, and we already talked about this in the beginning of this, is that you then turn around and say, oh, then I'll have this too, or I'll have that too, or an hour later, half hour later, you want something else because you're not getting the nutrients and you're not satisfying that true desire.
Anyone who's ever eaten a pint of ice cream because they thought it made them happy knows it doesn't
I've done it.
make you happy.
I probably shouldn't say this.
You're going to go on this tangent. We've been on for 15 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. So when I used to compete in bodybuilding, I'd go on a 12-week diet, and I'd go from 220 pounds.
Imagine him at 220
I'm 5'6". I'm 5 foot 6 inches. So 220 pounds with basically not much bigger waist than I have now, down to 176 and a quarter, which is my weight. I had to make that. I couldn't be above that weight in order to compete in my class. And then you spend the next hours or days, depending on when the show is, to bulk back up, they'd say.
Your point is how much weight you gained after the show.
Right. But then, because I deprived myself for 12 weeks, my goal wasn't even the show anymore at this point. It was the after the show. And my thing was, I'd stop at a place and I'd get pancakes and a milkshake, and I'd put 30 pounds of basically water weight on myself.
Inflammation and nastiness.
And I can tell you, my heart sounded like a race engine. Because
it's not healthy.
And this is what happens when you deprive. I don't care for what purpose, what reason. You deprive yourself from getting the nutrients it needs and restricting all that. You're only going to have one reaction.
It's bad for your body.
It's like the dog in the corner. You give him one option, it's only going to do one thing.
Right. So
Sorry for the tangent.
Yeah, he likes to go on tangents. It's okay. They like hearing your stories. I'm sure they do. But yeah, so definitely that's what we wanted to share, is that if food is happiness for you, you definitely probably have a food addiction, because that's what the food companies want you to have, and you need to kind of look at what does that mean and how do you go about it, because the excuse of I want to live my life the way I want to live it, I don't care if I die young, is super selfish to the people around you. The whole idea of only steak brings me joy, which has been said to us, is sad on so many
So many
levels.
levels.
And the idea that, well, I'd rather be happy than healthy. Trust us when we say we are healthy and we are happy.
Happy.
It is possible to be both.
Right.
And we would highly encourage it.
Exactly.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add about
just
this?
that, I mean, look at how long we're running.
I know, you're
this
yapping.
would be a great topic for our monthly Q&A. So the people that are members, if you want to,
Send us questions
right,
via
and
email.
dig into
or-
this some more, that it's going to be the 22nd of January at 7 o'clock p.m. That's a Tuesday. Eastern time. That's a Tuesday. And we'd love to have you guys if you're a member of the website. And we can have this conversation or any other topic that you
Any
want
other
to talk
topic you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
So, if anything else you want to add to that?
God, I feel like I talk about this all day long,
All
but
right.
I'm going to cut it off.
You're going to stop talking
Yes.
now? All right. So, you guys know that our website